Hey guys! Writers love including death scenes in their work, and readers hate to admit they love them. Whether it's throwing the book across the room at the unfairness of their favorite character's death, or the jumping for joy when a bastard of a character gets what they deserve, nothing can create such a powerful reaction in a reader than a well-written death scene. Well, almost nothing. So, how do we tackle death scenes as writers? Including a character death can be difficult in fiction writing. It takes a lot of thought, effort, and sometimes heartache to craft a character death that readers will respond to. It sounds daunting, but I've got you. Be sure to stick around till the very end because I want you to tell me in the comments which, if not all, of these 6 tips you'll use to write an effective death scene. Number 1, make the reader care. If you want the character's death to be effective, make sure your reader truly cares about the character who's dying. Or hate them. Your reader has to feel some type of way about the character who's meeting their end. Take the time to develop your character's personality, backstory, and motivations, good or bad, to ensure your reader becomes emotionally invested in your character's goals. As a side note, you should develop all of your characters, not just the ones you plan to sacrifice. If your character's good, your reader should root for them, relate to them, or just plain like them. If your character's bad, build up to their demise by making your reader like this character less and less. This will make it oh so satisfying when death comes swinging its scythe. For bad guys or villains, consider making their deaths ironic. Turn their pain, chaos, and destruction back on them. Do they like feeding people to alligators? Turn them into gator food. Do they poison people? Give them a taste of their own medicine. Literally. Tip number 2, death must affect the characters and plot. An effective death scene doesn't just affect the invested reader, but the invested characters too. Don't weaken your story by forgetting to show how the death affects your other characters, especially your protagonists. Don't be afraid to explore any and all plot-related consequences of the death. This includes the emotional influences of the characters as well. How a character responds to someone's death exposes a lot to your reader about the character and their relationship with the deceased character. If your scene instead focuses on your character killing someone rather than someone dying, give insight on how the killer is affected by their actions. Is the moment cathartic? Are they tormented by what they've done? Or are they completely disassociated from the event? There should be personal and realistic damage and aftermath to all character deaths. To deepen your story, develop your characters, and add meaning to your death scene, draw out those raw feelings and explore them. Number 3, don't be overdramatic or banal. We've all seen those funeral scenes in movies or TV shows where one of the deceased's great aunts or some mystery person who turns out to be their secret lover cries hysterically and then throws themselves into the grave. I don't know who started that, but shame on them. It's tempting to go all out with a death scene. It feels like the perfect time to crank up that mix of drama and emotion and get all that you can out of it. Listen to me when I tell you, don't do that. It's overdone and readers don't enjoy it. You're basically telling the reader how to feel about the death instead of just letting them feel it. Can death be dramatic and change the plot? Of course, but it should come naturally. There shouldn't be a speech from the dying character only for them to die the instant they reveal something important. Remember, death may be patient, but when it's time to go, it's time to go. Even in real life, there's always that one person who's overdramatic, but don't let it consume your whole scene. Unless your story is satire, make sure your death scene is sincere, substantial, and short. Number 4, make the death scene necessary. Seriously, don't include a death scene for shock value. I should have made this number 1. I don't know why I didn't, but here we are. Any death scene included in your writing must be necessary to the story's development. Shock value does nothing to create an effective death scene and takes away value from your story. Sure, surprising your reader with a plot twist disguised as an unexpected character death can be great, but when it's done solely for shock, it doesn't contribute to the story and comes off as cheap, phony, and lazy. There's nothing wrong with using shock value for a specific purpose, like establishing just how cruel your villain can be or how torture affects your character, but when you apply these elements solely to shock your audience, you risk making your death scene baseless and over the top. Ask yourself how much detail the reader truly needs, if the shocking elements add to your story or character development, and if you're really just including a death scene for shock value alone. Number 5, don't be predictable. I can't tell you how many times I've witnessed a character waltz onto the scene for the first time and I go, they're gonna die. And I'm proven right not even 30 minutes later. When writing a death scene, you have to maintain the balance of foreshadowing. Build up to the moment, but don't give too much away. This lack of balance happens a lot with good guy characters. It's usually the best friend or potential love interest, oh my god, or the dog. These characters are super helpful, super supportive of the main character, and overly endearing to the readers. You think this would increase the tragedy that is their eventual death, but all you do is give your reader a heads up that this character isn't gonna make it to the end of your novel. Instead of getting the, OMG reaction that you desire, you're going to get an I knew it. Pull attention away from your doomed character by making them flawed. Of course they're gonna love and support their friend or partner, but they also have to stand their ground against the main character. It's okay for them to disagree. It's okay for them to not go along with the plan. They have to be their own person instead of this sacrificial goody two-shoes character. On top of that, don't overemphasize conversations about the future or their plans for when they're old and gray. Have them live in the moment with plans for that weekend that turns out they're not gonna make. The whole point is to be subtle so readers don't notice. And last, number 6, immerse yourself in the scene. I'm sharing this last tip with caution. Your mental health is extremely important to me, so make sure you have a plan to get yourself out of this mindset. Watch a lighthearted movie, talk out what you're feeling with a trusted friend, or whatever you need to feel yourself again. Now, once you have that plan in place, consider putting yourself in the mindset of loss and death. This is in no way a mandatory tip, only a suggestion. Just know that if you feel nothing when writing a death scene, it will translate on the page and your reader will feel nothing too. We've all suffered some type of loss or fear of loss, and tapping into your own emotions of grief and trauma can create raw, moving, and effective writing. As Robert Frost once said, no tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. But I'll remind you again that this can be taxing. If you're willing to go the extra mile and suffer for your art, remember to take care of your mental health during and after writing your death scene by taking breaks when it becomes too much and having a plan to make yourself feel better. And there it is, all 6 tips to writing an effective death scene. Remember to let me know which of these tips helped you and or which ones you'll apply to your death scene. Do you even have a death scene? Are you one of those writers who doesn't get their jollies off killing their characters? Leave a comment. I want to know if you exist. Hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more tips and advice on writing. I post new videos on Sundays, so click that bell so you're the first to know when my videos are live. Subscribe to my newsletter for exclusive content on my debut novel, Like My Mother Before Me, and follow me on social media so we can procrastinate together. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time.